So, America is celebrating their 250th birthday, and I find this week it's kind of weird because it coincides with like Jackass coming out. So Slackers, we're reviewing Slackers, and this game. So they want your nuts and they want your guns. This is very fitting for America 250. It's Squirrel with a gun. Hey, even a squirrel can have a gun now. Feel the freedom in that. So it's a delightful romp game that plays like Goat Simulator or a Squirrel meets Grand Theft Auto similar in some ways. It's so much fun at the beginning is the catch. There's levels inside like enemy bases, residential areas, and so on that you can explore. Tons of unlockable weapons. I think there's 10 weapons, and there's like hand pistols and rockets. It was hilarious to see a squirrel going around and using. Obviously they have limited ammo, and it's not going to be like an FPS free for all. But there's tons of hilarious costumes that you can collect. I don't want to spoil any of it. And golden acorns. There's a mini RC car which was advertised everywhere, and more. So there's a lot of little fun little things to make the journey as a squirrel with a gun more enjoyable. So the developers clearly have a nutty sense of humor. I feel like that could have been polished more, which I was going to bring up later. But and it's everywhere in Squirrel with a Gun. And like the music's great. Just the way the whole game starts out is pretty silly. The over-the-top crazy attack animations on the sort of the Secret Service agents are a sight to behold, but they just happen so quickly. They're hilarious the first dozen or so times you see them, but then it's like, okay, this is like, I have to watch this every time, so I don't really want to do those moves. They're pretty essential to take them down rather than shoot from afar, which can get you hurt very quickly. Obviously it's a squirrel, they can't take a lot of hits. The graphics look nice. It's a compromise between cute and realistic. The controls, this was like the bane of my existence. I tried using a controller and I just found it's like, wow, this is atrocious. So I switched to the mouse and it's like, okay, now the game is bearable. Now I can actually progress, and that's what stopped me originally, and that's really weird because it doesn't happen very often. But I assume most people are going to be playing this with an Xbox or PlayStation 5 controller, or maybe a Switch controller, and I just found it was inaccurate with the Xbox One. And it's just very infuriating. It makes the game borderline unplayable, and that's sort of what slowed me down when I first played it. I'm like, wow, why is this game so balanced when you're using a controller? With a mouse, it's like, okay, I can progress with this. So the game is wonderful, as I said, when you get your first pistol, and it continues for the most part until you start to reach objective after objective, unfortunately. That's when the game's bogged down from being silly, going around, your total chaos, a squirrel with a gun, to like, okay, now I gotta do these objectives. Right at the beginning of the game, there's jumping pole to pole in 3D in this game, and it's sadly horrible, and it reminds me a bit of Mario 64, but it's like so much worse, because you can't see the angle that you're jumping towards the pole, and just sort of like a Hail Mary like jump every single time, and you have to do this like 5-10 times, and it's just, why is this that difficult at the start of a game? You think that they'd be a bit more lenient. So yeah, so it feels like Super Mario 64 without any of the finesse, and the controls, like generally people are saying the controls are floaty garbage. And I feel like, especially with the jumping, it's just so atrocious. So considering the lighthearted nature of the game itself, the enemies in the game are very relentless and can take out your squirrel within seconds, which I think that's the realistic part of the game, but at the same time, like, it takes away a lot of the fun of playing the game if you lose all your nuts and you have to start over, and it's frustrating because there's no way that I could see that you could protect your squirrel like with a bulletproof vest. Maybe that comes later, but I couldn't see a way to do it at the beginning of the game. I was about a third through the game, I think. It's not a long game, 4 hours or so, but yeah, once the game becomes more mission based and a collectathon, I felt like, okay, now we went from like the squirrel devil may care sort of part of the game to, oh, now I gotta collect this to unlock this. You don't have to, but like really to enjoy the game fully, the game expects you to be like, okay, you gotta play it this way, which I think is a shame for a game like this. You know, instead of it being optional and like you can progress without the maps are also, I feel like they feel big, but then you realize like, okay, there's certain things you can do, and like otherwise there's a lot of empty space. That's what I felt like when I was playing it. So instead, yeah, it felt like more of a collectathon, less of a maniacal squirrel shooting baddies, and the super fun and quirkiness, like and zaniness from the beginning of the game. It just becomes a major slog, and that's when I was like, okay, I know what this game's like, and from here, unfortunately, it's not as much fun anymore. And I was super hyped when I heard about this game, and I think a lot of people were, and I know it's based off of a meme and everything, but still, the gameplay humor made me more forgiving initially. You're like, oh, okay, I'll just get past this, I'll bite my lip. But then, you know, just struggling with the controls, the high difficulty when you have 2 or 3 secret agents attacking you, and just it feels like the cheapness of the AI. Like the AI almost has like perfect accuracy, and it's like, okay, zone in. Like they're Terminators. It feels like they're Terminators rather than human beings, Secret Service agents. So I just feel like it more polish. Maybe they felt pressure to have the game come out before Christmas or something, and just get it out there. And you know, with some tweaks, this would be, you know, a better balanced game. But unfortunately, it's just not there right now, and I don't know if it's ever going to be there. So the regular price is $25.99. I feel that's kind of high. I know this game is fairly polished for independent game. I think I got it for $20. I feel like it would be a really fun $5 game, but anything more for the bugginess and just unrefined gameplay, it just makes feel like you were robbed by a squirrel with a gun. And it's just sad because I really enjoyed it at the beginning, and then the reality of just how the game is set up seeped in, and I'm like, I'd rather not be a squirrel with a gun. So keep on gaming. Bye.